you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. He's Teddy Covers, and the run has begun. Oh, yeah. Teddy with a perfect night last night, guys. It's going to be huge. Anyway, you're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet, Theodore. Who's on the show, and what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to open up the show with Steve Merril today. He's got a couple of games in college basketball he wants to discuss. 4 tonight, Georgetown and DePaul, BYU and Pacific. And if we have time, we'll talk the Alamo Bowl, Washington and Texas. Las Vegas Cris is going to join us next. He's going to talk the Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL, Carolina in the NFL, and then you and I, Prez, are going to have a little discussion about the NFL as well. My big game breakdown, Tennessee Clemson in the Orange Bowl tomorrow night. And, of course, the Presidential Address to close out the show if we get enough likes. That's what we have on tap for today, Prez. Let's get right into it.
Theodore, I got a leak in my house. It's coming out of the kitchen. It's landing in the basement. I wonder how much this mess is going to cost me.
Is that carbon monoxide?
I know you want it to be carbon monoxide. I get it. It's just water, okay? Enough.
Oh, all right. So you'll live through the day.
What do you think? $5,000? $1,000? How bad?
So I had a leak once from the shower down to the where we had to replace the ceiling and some walls and all, and it wasn't that bad. But that's what homeowners insurance is for. You have a deductible. You'll be fine.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't normally do the old insurance thing, you know. Well, I haven't, but anyway, Steve Merril joining us. Steven, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be expensive or just insurance it? Insurance is like a joke. Every time I've ever claimed insurance, my policy goes up.
Yeah, the insurance is like bookmaking, right? They're not in the business of losing money, and it's all odds-based. In fact, insurance and sports betting probably have a lot of analogies. I always talk about the financial markets, but the insurance markets would be a pretty cool fascination, correlation as well.
Yeah, well, I'll keep you guys updated. I asked my kid. I took my kid for dinner last night. Thai food. It was spectacular. Chiang Mai on the Danforth. To any Canadians listening. I asked her a question. She's 19. I said, would you rather die tonight in your sleep or go through 5 brutal years in your 70s? I thought that was a pretty decent question.
Good God, what kind of dinner conversation is that? My goodness.
I know, right? I know, it's terrible. I'm the worst. Okay, let's get into it. Georgetown and DePaul. How we betting this game, my brother?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, actually, do you like the Thai food spicy? Because I've got some Thai friends, and their level of spice is off the charts. I honestly think their taste buds are like burnt off at birth, but I do like some good Thai food.
So it's interesting you ask, because we always ask a question whenever I had Indian on Tuesday, Thai on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's up there, yeah.
And both times we turned to the person and was like, is it Indian spicy or is it Canadian spicy?
Yeah, Thai hot. That's the term I use. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm not I like spice, but my kid accidentally took a bite of my Penang curry, ended up crying at the table. Her lips started to swell, and she sat in the washroom for 5 minutes. So I guess it was spicy.
That just sounds like a wonderful dinner. You ask your kid if she wants to dine or sleep, and then she's in the washroom for 5 minutes with her mouth on fire. So I always want to go to dinner with you, Prez. Now I'm starting to revisit that. But yeah, you got to ask if it's Thai hot. Thai hot is definitely the term to use when I go out. And I like spice as well, but it's at another level. Yeah, we'll talk about Georgetown DePaul here. A little college hoops. Look, get to that bowl game maybe at the end. I know we want to talk football. Everyone's focusing on the bowl season. By the way, you get the rest of the bowls for free when you buy my NFL right now. That's going to be up on my page today, so check that out at WagerTalk.com. But it's quiet time. College basketball in full swing right now. We got through the holidays. Always tread lightly through basically Christmas, maybe through New Year's. But I thought there was a couple games tonight that had some interesting matchups. And we'll look at this DePaul-Georgetown game. And these are two teams that aren't afraid to play up tempo and two teams that aren't very good defensively. So I'm going to look at the over in this one. It's in the low 150 range. Two teams that are having a losing record this season. But what I like here is Georgetown doesn't rely heavily on the three-point shot. They get most of their baskets in transition, but they give up a lot of three-point attempts, and DePaul does take a lot of threes. So I think the offensive matchup, three versus transition, favors both offenses here. Two teams that don't mind to play fast, and I think it's a very modest total. So Georgetown DePaul over the total, over that 153.5 range.
So these two teams played a good handful of times in recent seasons, obviously two perennial Big East underachievers. And we've seen a series history that doesn't really favor the overall that much. It was one shootout last year, but really three of the last four meetings have stayed well under the total. Through the most recent one, 68-65 between these two squads that maybe wasn't played at the pace that some might have expected. Did you look at series history? Is that a factor for you at all, recent series history between these two squads, Steve? Or is this just a matter of this year's teams, this year's stats? Don't worry about how they played in the recent past.
No, definitely look at series history, Teddy. But what I like to do in this situation is actually use it to our advantage, because I think some of those are a little bit different than it's going to play out tonight. So I think it's a good point. Obviously in college sports, you got to be very careful, right? It's not like the NFL where you have maybe some of the same teams, or the NBA where you have some of the same players for several seasons. College hoops, I mean, every 2 years probably it's a totally different lineup. But as you know, Teddy, when we talk about trends in college sports, we're looking at coaches, right? College football, college basketball. We want to see the consistency at coach. But I do think this is a situation where these teams are playing a little faster this year. And once again, the under-the-radar angle here is the fact that Georgetown likes transition points. DePaul relies more on the three. Georgetown gives up a lot of threes. I like the matchup, but I think this total is a little bit lower than it should be based on the fact recent meetings have stayed under.
And I was muted. I know my kid walked in with a charger, and then I asked her if she wanted to come on the show and tell us what death she chose.
She couldn't talk. Her vocal cords have been burnt.
BYU at Pacific, my friend. -6 for BYU, 148. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I always look at tempo as we talk about in college hoops. Those of you who watch me on the college basketball show, by the way, 2 o'clock Eastern today on Thursday. Tony Finn and I did the switch. I'm going to be Thursday. Finn will be tomorrow and Friday. So I'll be on the college show today talking some more games. But I always talk about pace. And I think it's the number one handicapping factor I probably use in college hoops. So that's the first thing I look at when I run down all the games. We talked about the pace in that DePaul-Georgetown game. BYU, one of the fastest teams in the country this year, 25th pace overall. Pacific, 101 out of 363. So that's in the top third as well. So another fast tempo game. And Pacific is really bad defensively this year. They're barely outside the bottom 300 as far as defensive efficiency. This is a team that's given up 46.5% shooting on the season. And the fact that BYU just played a low-scoring game, Teddy talked about the series history in Georgetown DePaul. I like the fact that they're coming off a low-scoring game against Weber, in which it was 63-57, went under by 23 points last week. They've been off for a full week, though. I think they'll run and gun tonight. I think Pacific will do it with them. And another game in which I like the over here, BYU and Pacific over the total. That one's on the late card at 9 o'clock Eastern, currently looking about 150.5, open 148 up to 150.5. I agree with the over between BYU and Pacific.
So we look at the current form. You talked about BYU coming off a sluggish game against Weber State. They stayed 23.5 points under the total. Pacific's been staying under the total as well. They've been an under team. The game against San Jose State, certainly 22 points under than the last time out as well. Another under cashing. So when it comes to current form between these two squads, we've seen a little bit lower pace and a little bit slower pace and a little bit less offensive efficiency than earlier in the season. Does any of that concern you here for this one? Or is this just a matchup that works for BYU with Pacific's defensive issues and BYU's ability to light up the scoreboard?
Well, here's what I really like about that San Jose State game 2 games ago for Pacific. They won 59-58. The total was 138.5, which in hindsight was a really great under bet because San Jose State right now, Teddy, is 351st out of the 363 teams in tempo. And that's once again, we talked about the recent series history in the other game. We talked about how, it sets up some maybe misleading scores for the future. I think that's the same thing here. I love the fact that Pacific played a low, slow half-court team, struggled a little bit with Lamar as well. Now they can run with BYU. And once again, Pacific is top 100 in pace as well. So I think they'll want to run. And I think those recent scores gives us some value. And that's one of the reasons we've seen this total go up a full basket already, but I don't think it's enough. I still like over 150.5 BYU Pacific.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. We're going to talk College Bowl, the Alamo Bowl. I'm in play on this game, Steve, and I've started. I'm 8-2 this bowl season. I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm a narcissist. What are you doing here, brother? Washington versus Texas, minus 367.5. Longhorns are getting a Manning next year, but not now. Where are we going here?
Yeah, don't forget the Alamo Bowl. And I don't know, this might be a game to forget tonight.
I've already forgot it.
Yeah, I was just to say I might very well forget it too. I wanted to talk some football though. Actually, we'll not be using this game tonight. I do have a strong best bet on one of the other games on the afternoon card here for Thursday. And a quick reminder, I'm putting this promo up right after the show. You're going to get the rest of college football bowls for free when you buy the NFL. Right now, it's $100 for college, $200 for the NFL. You're getting them both for $199. So if you'd like to get that strong bowl best bet for tonight on Thursday, or this afternoon rather, and all this weekend, get it for free with the NFL package. $199. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed. Not going to use this game tonight, but I'll lean Texas at -3 or less, and it's a good game to talk about because this is why handicapping the bowls is so tricky, right? Guys sitting out, and Texas is one of those teams that's much more talented on the surface in Washington, but they could be missing some key guys. And it's funny, Prez, they could use that Manning probably tonight and some of the other recruits that are coming in for next year. Washington, 10-2 season, they'll probably be the more focused team. So that's what kept me off the game because I think Texas more talented, Washington more focused. But I'll look at the over if you're going to play the total here. Both teams went over their final 2 games. I don't think it's a huge game for Texas with guys sitting out. The focus, I think, often shows on the defensive side. And this is a Texas team that was good defensively this year. Just 4.9 yards per play allowed, but I don't think that defense will be at the same level tonight. Both offenses are capable. Washington put up over 7 yards per play, 41 points a game. Texas, 36 points a game. In a situation where I think at least one of the teams isn't fully focused, I always lean towards the over. Over 67 would be my preference here. Open 65, so we have seen a little bit of over money coming in on the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, so, we've seen all this sharp money. The sharp money's poured in on the Washington Huskies in this game. Does it worry you to see that? Because in my mind, Washington, if they're going to win and cover, if all the sharp money on Washington is right, that means they're going to at least have some success slowing the Longhorns' offense down. And you ask me which of these two teams correlates more to the over. I would say Texas correlates more to the over than Washington. Would you agree with that? And is this a situation where if you lean over, maybe you lean look at the favorite as opposed to the dog?
I don't know, Teddy. If you look at the offensive numbers, it was against a much weaker schedule. I'm well aware of that. But Washington put up 41 points a game, 7.1 yards per play. Texas, 36, 6.4. And once again, they played a tougher schedule of defenses by far, I think. But Washington's defense was definitely the weaker unit of the two. So I think you could actually make a case that the over might favor Washington. I think they maybe need a high-scoring game and to trade points. So the fact that some money came in from 3.5 down to 3, I think the over is the safest play. There's just too many question marks for me with Texas and how they're going to show up tonight.
Steve Merril, you're done. You've promoted. We've talked. Anything else? What's your favorite song of all time?
Oh, man, that changes on a daily basis, probably. I don't have a good answer for that. Prez, I have a Netflix show I started watching. It's not subtitled. It's Turkish, but they speak English over the type. The Protector, really good season 1. We started season 2, and it's really going downhill fast, so I might not recommend it anymore, but I just wanted to see if you'd seen that one. The Protector,
I have
a
not.
different type of show.
And actually, I started Shaq last night. I watched the first episode.
That was good. I saw the first one.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
He is so freaking cool. And I was thinking, because I can't, I struggle to fall asleep. Full disclosure, nobody gives a shit. So I'm like racking my brains, like, you know, in our lifetime, who the top 5 NBA players? I came up with 8 and I couldn't get it down to 5. I had Jordan, LeBron, Magic, Bird, Kareem, Curry, and one other guy. I can't
You
remember,
still
but
haven't
I
named the
couldn't get.
greatest ever. You still haven't named the greatest ever. It's not even
Well,
debatable. I was
I
I was
said
talking to
in
someone
our
about this
like
yesterday.
I'm
Oh, our
talking like from
lifetime.
Dr. J onwards, because I
Oh,
didn't
okay, I'm
get the
sorry.
pleasure to see Oscar Robertson or Bill Russell. I don't.
Still
I
hasn't
got
named them.
no. What?
You still haven't named the
Okay,
greatest ever.
so who is the greatest ever, Steve?
It's not debatable. It's Wilt Chamberlain because they literally changed rules for the guy. 3-point violation, goaltending. I mean, rule
I don't
changes
know,
were made
man.
because of a player, and he scored it. Look at this. Look, because we were talking about Doncic putting up 60, 20, 10, Teddy. I was talking to someone about this yesterday, and Morency and I did this about a year ago. We were talking about scores, and I Googled it while we were on live, and the Wikipedia list for like the top points ever, I think Chamberlain has like 8 of the top 13
Yeah, it's
scoring games of
insane.
all time. But the other
Yeah,
one I'll say real quick, December 26th, 103 years ago, 3 days ago, was when the Red Sox sold Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, the greatest player. Also, you got to compare guys within their era. And Babe Ruth hit more home runs in some seasons than entire
oh,
teams. You know, that's the stuff
yeah.
that'll never happen again.
No. And listen, firstly, Wilt played as a man amongst boys.
I agree.
So you have
So
to
did Jim
take that
Brown.
into
So did
account.
Ruth.
And I
Right.
forgot to mention Kobe and Shaq. So I had Kobe, Shaq, Magic, Bird, Kareem, LeBron, and Seth Curry. 8 guys. Which 3 fall out of the top 5? Couldn't figure it out. I was
Curry's the
up all
greatest
night.
shooter ever. Curry's got to be in there because he's the greatest shooter to ever play the game. So he's in my top 5.
Teddy.
Hakeem is missing, man. Olajuwon's missing from that list. Is all I'm
he
going
was
to say.
pretty good.
You can't put
He
him
was
in
pretty
that
good.
top 8.
I absolutely. I don't know who to take out. But,
Right. Who would you take out?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Let's talk about what we learned last night.
Teddy, what did we learn last night?
So I want to talk about how much streaks are luck or not luck. All right. I got very lucky last night with an onside kick recovery that ended up resulting in the over cashing in Kansas, Arkansas. It ended up being the highest scoring Liberty Bowl in history. So it wasn't like it was a wrong side. And it wasn't like it was a wrong side throughout. All right. There were turnovers deep. There were stopped on downs deep. It would have been a frustrating loss had the under cashed. But what was the difference? An onside kick recovery. Absolute luck. All right. And that's how we cashed the over last night. And that's how we swept the board last night. And I've been on running terrible. You know, I mean, you watch the show. Cold versus ice cold. 40% for a week versus 20% for a week. What does that mean? Are you winning a couple of lucky games? Are you winning a couple of coin flips? When you're hot versus red hot, you're running 60% this week versus 80% this week. What's the difference? You got to win your coin flips. Winning 1 or 2 you don't deserve. Those really help hot streaks. And on the other side of the equation, when you can't win a coin flip game and you don't win anything that you don't deserve, those really produce some negative streaks. So we were able to get there last night. Again, Kansas Arkansas wasn't a wrong side. There were multiple. They could have gotten to the 80s in regulation. Instead, we needed the touchdown, onside recovery touchdown in the final 2 minutes. But we got there, Prez. It's been a while since I had one work in my favor that way. And a 2-0 night. I'm telling you, 2-0 night. And all of a sudden the next day, you're like, the pressure just calms down a little bit. Feel much better today. Let's see if we can keep it rolling and start something bigger and better. But that luck factor, when you're running cold versus when you're running hot, never underestimate it. It's real.
I agree. I mean, listen, you were on the Knicks against Dallas. And
that was one of many.
Yeah.
It was not the only one like that, Prez. Trust me.
Dude,
not even close.
You are about to go on a monster run. I can feel it in my bones. I know you want to remain humble, balance out the Prez's ego. I get it. But I'm feeling like a big run is coming. Las Vegas Cris, one of the most interesting men alive. How are you, my friend? Yeah, you know what? Full disclosure, it's not that we forgot that you went to Thailand every summer. It's that we didn't care. But I do remember. I do remember that.
Home with
Wait,
me.
hold on.
I've
I'm
had
told
4 NBA unders go to overtime in the last 2 weeks.
Oh. Okay, sorry, Chris. We for some reason it's YouTube was saying it's muted, but now Dan says we're good. So, what topics that we have discussed did you want to go over? You've been to Thailand. You love Thai food. You love Thai women. What else?
What Teddy was saying really resonates with me because I've had 4 NBA unders that I bet that have gone to overtime just in the last 2 weeks. So it's frustrating. But the one thing you have to remember is the better the handicapper you are, your higher winning percentage means that you're going to have more bad beats. It's just the pure mathematics of the situation, unfortunately.
Yeah,
like poker in that regard.
Well said, and it's something you can't account for. Sorry, Teddy. Go ahead.
I'll just say, you talk about poker when you're running good versus running bad in poker. Prez, you play a lot of poker. Chris, you play some. I don't play much during the season, but in the summertime, I like to get out and play a little bit. And the concept of, I've been taking one beat and another and running good versus running bad has an enormous, I mean, in poker, even more than sports. But 1 or 2 or 4 unders in a 2-week span that all go over and overtime, when you're a better poker player, you're going to have more bad beats because you're getting in with the best of it more often than not. And that concept, certainly in theory, applies to bad bets in sports. Although this struggle, I'm not going to call. I wasn't a very good capper during this struggle, so I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it was just bad luck. No, I wasn't good. But when you're not good, and you can't win a close game, and you can't win the one you're supposed to, that's when you go ice cold. The games are right side, the Knicks are right sides, the coin flips, and then more than your share of wrong sides. And that's how you go ice cold, which unfortunately I just did.
You can't have a bad beat unless you were on the right side. And it's the same in poker. Just like you said, you can't have a bad beat unless you got it all in good. Las Vegas, Chris, let's talk some NHL. Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, -300 on the road against Arizona. Teddy, I'm going to jump in after this because I want to talk about this game. Chris, how are you betting this one, man? Where are you finding a bet?
We've been having a lot of success avoiding laying big prices. We try to avoid laying anything over about 150. So everything that we're doing is pretty much less than that, except for tonight, actually. We do have one that's higher, but we're trying to find alternative ways to back teams that are this strongly favored. And so we're doing Toronto first period -0.5, and we're getting plus money on a -300 favorite. And so far this season, we're 70% on those plays. Toronto's held the lead after the first period in 7 of the 10 road games that they've played. And they're 7-2-1 with a +16 goal differential in the first period. They're 10-3 when they're facing the Western Conference. Meanwhile, on the other side, Arizona is 26th in goals for and against per game. Toronto is 9th and 2nd in those same categories. We had a nice winner last night and the night before with Tampa Bay and Carolina in the same situations. And we're looking for these teams, and not every big favorite. And we're being very selective to get out to these early leads and try to hold on to them.
Chris, every time I try to make these first period bets, from me personally, they never work. I need Toronto to win by 1 goal, and they get the goal 20 seconds into the second period.
Yeah.
I just want to say Toronto doesn't win these games very often. I know that sounds crazy, but the one thing about the Leafs that you can count on is they're good for losing against the worst teams in the league on a regular basis. So I like your first period bet, and then maybe come back with Arizona at like plus 500 going into the second period, because the Leafs play down to their competition all the time.
Yeah, we made the mistake
Tampa
of having
Bay.
a minus a goal and a half the other night.
Yeah. Carolina, Tampa Bay. We had Trig on yesterday, I think, Teddy, or no, Jimmy Adams came on and said he likes the Panthers. Where are you going? And then Teddy will ask you a follow-up.
Boy, I had a lot of equity tied into that Tampa Bay Arizona Monday Night Football game, so I watched a lot of that game. And Tampa Bay is just put together with spit and duct tape. They have a lot of problems. They're legitimate problems, and it's been happening all season. They think they've covered 1 out of 11 games. They're overvalued in the marketplace. And what I do in NFL is I'm always keeping a trailing 5 weeks of data. And Tampa Bay ranks 27th, I believe, over the previous 5 weeks. So we're not talking about 1 or 2 weeks. We're talking about longevity with this play, that there's only a handful of teams playing, worse than they have been playing. Meanwhile, Carolina is right around number 10 over the previous 5 weeks. So they're trending well. You can see that in their preparation last week when they played the Lions. They knew exactly what to do with the Lions, and they left them flat-footed. They're doing the hard work. This team came out of nowhere, and they're doing the little things to try. They're showing the effort. They're doing the video work and the strategy work ahead of time. And meanwhile, Brady doesn't have his Gronkowski to bail him out of trouble. They've got way too many third downs every game, and his arm is starting to become a little bit of a noodle arm. He overthrew an easy touchdown early in the game on Monday. He's throwing under to some of the players. So I like Carolina in this game. I have these teams equal for the entire season. Carolina trending better, and we're getting points.
So look ahead line on this game, bettable line on this game last week at this time was Tampa minus 7.5. Have the markets not adjusted enough off that number?
I think that we've lost a little bit of value off of that Lions victory last week, but I don't have a lot of stock in the look ahead lines, Teddy, because those are inefficient markets. You don't have high limits. You have people potentially shaping markets or avoiding shaping markets. And as I mentioned previously, Tampa Bay, they don't cover. They've been overvalued each and every week the entire season. So their lines haven't been right ever this entire season. So that doesn't really concern me.
And Tampa's a team, again, I mean,
go ahead,
you want
Teddy.
to talk about
Sorry.
a team with no betting bandwagon. The Bucks haven't covered a spread at home all year. They haven't covered a spread in any game in, a month? And Carolina is all of a sudden the hot team in the markets. We've seen a 4.5-point adjustment of what we saw the line was going to be last week to here. And you say you don't worry too much about that, but to me, that tells us how much the markets are actually reacting to any individual game or group of games. And it feels like just now we're seeing the Carolina bandwagon come and the Tampa market completely crash. Do you get that same sense? Because, to me, this is your buy low sign, isn't it?
What you're saying is true in a lot of cases, and probably more cases than not. But Tampa Bay is getting the support. It was down to 2.5, and it's strengthened. It's a strong 3 today. So Tampa Bay is getting its support, and the bungee bottom was probably the 2.5. For me, I can't. You're taking the points. These teams are even. The pressure's on Tampa Bay to win. Their coaching is abysmal. Todd Bowles makes mistakes every single game. He won't run quarterback sneaks with Brady. He won't do what's in the best interest of the team. So if you've got if you're going to have coaching blunders and you've got a noodle arm quarterback and you've got injuries and you don't have a full wide receiver core to throw to, it's going to be hard for them to really score a lot.
Teddy?
That was my second follow, Lawrence.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, brother. And the craziest thing, Chris, is that Tom Brady, and I could be wrong here, I think he has the best quarterback sneak record of all time.
I believe he does too. And then an interesting tidbit. Today, he passes the second half of his life. So he will have been on playing professional football for longer than he did not play professional football during his lifetime. Today's the halfway point of his life.
Wow.
22 years and something.
Okay. What do you got to promote?
Number 2, profit for 2022. We're trying to get to number 1 and nice. Very proud. I'm doing it with a 48.5% win percentage. What does that mean? I release a lot of value. I'm not padding stats with heavy favorites. I release stuff that's of value. I release stuff that I'm betting. So I don't have anything specifically to promote other than doing good work all year long, betting half as much as the other people, winning at a lower rate, but profiting very nicely.
Brilliant stuff. Las Vegas Cris, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com, an exclusive handicapper of our team. Teddy Covers, get ready. We got a commercial break. Your big game breakdown. We'll take apart a couple of NFL games, and then if there's 100 likes, the daily presidential address.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk Orange Bowl on Friday night. Clemson in Tennessee. This one could be and should be a whole lot of fun. Right now, I'm seeing the Clemson Tigers -5.5, -6 total. Let's call it 63.5 for Tennessee and Clemson. And look, if you look at the regular seasons, Clemson had a disappointing regular season. They're used to playing for a national title. Tennessee had a great regular season. They won 10 games. They beat Florida, Alabama, and LSU. They got picked for the Orange Bowl. Yeah, okay. That was then. This is now. The team that Tennessee had to get here. Quarterback Hendon Hooker. Oh, his ACL is torn. Receivers, Tedrick Tillman, Jalen Hyatt. Oh, they're going to the NFL draft. Linebacker Jeremy Banks. Oh, he's going to the NFL draft too. Which leaves us with Joe Milton as the quarterback for Tennessee. I watched Joe Milton at Michigan before he transferred. I watched him with the Vols. Joe Milton has arm strength. He can throw the ball a mile. When it comes to decision-making, when it comes to accuracy, when it comes to do we trust Joe Milton the way we trusted Hendon Hooker, we do not. I think it's a problem, especially, say what you want about Clemson's offense. That defense remains national championship caliber elite. I don't see Tennessee marching up and down the field here. I really don't. You look at Clemson, and again, DJ Uiagalelei gets benched. headed to the transfer portal. He's gone. All right. Who do they have? Gabe Klubnik, who happens to be the number 1 ranked QB prospect. Now, I know he hasn't played a whole lot, but the guys with his resume, remember Tua coming in a national championship game in the second half and blowing everything up. So there's certainly a lot of potential on the Clemson side here at the QB position. I like their defense better. I think they're the better of these two teams, and I would not be surprised at all if they win this one by margin. Lay it or don't play it. Give me Clemson over Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. That's a client play for me. You got it right here for free. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers awesome stuff. 10 minutes left in the show. We do have, let me check. We have over 100 likes. There will be a daily presidential address. Teddy, we normally have a third guest. We decided to just talk between the two of us in this segment. We're going to do some NFL. You and I have planned nothing. We've planned nothing. You're going to throw games at me, and I'll tell you how I'm going to bet them. Go ahead.
This is how we planned it. We planned.
Well, yes, but we didn't plan which game. I have no idea what game you're going to throw.
Let's talk tonight's game. Let's start there, okay? There's one game tonight that we haven't talked about all week on this show, Dallas and Tennessee. Right now, I'm seeing the Cowboys minus 13, total of 40, and I don't know what to do with this game. I guess if I was playing, I could can we step in front of Tennessee again in this point spread range, or is this just too high? Because to me, I feel like Dallas is going to win, but it's too much.
Flat out, I'm not betting this game. Like, I might have a prop bet later on, but I'm not betting the side and I'm not betting the total. But if I had to bet this game, I would take Tennessee. The bottom line is that they're going to run the ball a ton. And I understand that they have gone downhill. I was all over Tennessee for the first half of the season, and they have just completely pooched it. But this is a tough spot for Dallas. A big game last week. This is just one of those games where Dallas is going to squeak out a win at the end of the game. And honestly, given that we're in week 17 and 18, crazy shit's going to happen, Teddy. I would probably sprinkle a teeny bit on Tennessee on the money line. But I like Tennessee plus the 13 points. I'm not going to get there. I'm not betting this. I actually do. I just literally, we spoke, I have a prop bet for tonight.
So when it comes, because that's interesting to me. You're like, all right, I would lean Tennessee. I don't like the spot for Dallas. This point spread's gone through the roof, but then you don't play it. Like, what's that criteria there? I lean versus I play. Because to me, that's oftentimes the hardest piece of the equation for some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, because here we have a quarterback that's really struggling to move the ball downfield. And their running game has gone kaput. Their defense is not looking nearly as good as they were at the beginning of the season. And the bottom line is, this is one of those games where anything can happen. Dallas is in control of the score of this game. Dallas wants to go out there and pretend it's their Super Bowl. They can win 40-13. Dallas lays an egg, they could lose outright. There's too many variables. I need consistency. Yeah, the variance is incredibly wide here. I need consistency.
Let's talk the Sunday night game then. You talk about a consistent team, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been pretty consistent of late. They've been playing pretty good football. They're 2.5-point underdogs, total 35-35.5. Ravens and the Steelers Sunday night football.
Yeah. So, Teddy, let's bottom line this game. Defensively, Baltimore number 3 in all of football. Pittsburgh, since TJ Watt has come back in, has played outstanding defensively. Both teams are bottom 10 in passing in the league, and that includes passing in the sunny weather of September and October. You take this game and you look, the number's low, 35. How do you see this game playing out here? 17-16, 20-13, 21-12, 17-13. Every score that I come up with is well under the total of 35. And one of the things that I do in my handicap is try to figure out what the score will be, and especially using the help the line makers give us by attaching a line to a total. I don't know how else you can bet this game. I love the under. I will be betting the under in this game. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a 13-10 type of a football game.
Steelers have won 4 of their last 5 right now, and they still never had a losing season in the Mike Tomlin era. They'll need to win this one to keep that record intact. I'd be looking at the underdog before I was ready to lay points with the favorites. The favorite.
I agree.
In this one. We already talked Panthers Bucks today. Is there a game that you want to talk about? How about Dolphins Patriots? That's an interesting one. In theory, we're seeing New England -2.5, -3, 41. We can talk about this one or a different one if you want to.
This is an outright pass for me, Teddy. I can't find a bet in this football game.
Vikings Packers. Is that one worth talking about? What's interesting to you, Lawrence?
No, we'll talk about the Viking Packers. I like the under in this game, Teddy. I think we're going to have bad weather. We've got an inconsistent Minnesota team, and that is one of the problems with betting on Minnesota or against them. Minnesota, if they are playing bad, they are horrific. If they are playing good, they're one of the best teams in all of football. One thing we know about the Packers is they're moving the ball slowly. Even the game against Miami last week, Aaron Rodgers threw the ball deep only a couple of times. This is a run-first football team, a team playing outs and wheel routes and all these, 8-yard, 6-yard passing plays. Minnesota is going to struggle at many points in this game on offense. We got a total of 48 here in Lambeau. I don't see any other way to bet this game but to take the under.
Yeah, something just happened in the Titans-Cowboys game. I think it's Derrick Henry is now not supposed to play tonight. A bunch of books just took it off the board.
Can my thoughts on that?
When we have the live breaking news, we want to give it to you. That's the purpose of a Sports Center for gamblers. And again, Derrick Henry's been downgraded to doubtful for tonight. Many books have just taken the Titans-Cowboys off the board. You told me that you like the under there. And the Vikings-Packers, let's just close this out and we'll go to your presidential address. Minnesota's a hard team for me to play unders with. That is not a defense I trust. And deservedly so. And what do they cash now? 5 straight overs? Offense good, defense bad for the Vikings. That's my take on Minnesota. And you talked about Minnesota when they play their A game. They're as good as anyone in the NFL. I'm with you. The markets continue to look at Minnesota as a mediocre team that's wildly overachieved. This point spread's telling you that. Right now, in my mind, the Vikings an undervalued commodity in the markets. I don't know overvalued. Lawrence?
Teddy, I just got a text. Josh Dobbs will be playing QB for Tennessee tonight.
Which is probably not good news if you have the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. So, it's funny because I had a prop bet I was literally putting in on Malik, and, I'm just going to probably lay off this game.
And Dobbs is the guy that can make plays with his feet. But everything that, when you have a backup or a third-string QB, you want a guy who can take off and scramble, just like in the preseason.
Yeah.
But he's been a long-term third-string quarterback in the NFL for a reason. Yeah. He's not going to make a whole lot of plays with his arm.
As for Minnesota, Teddy, I'm going to make this statement right now. If this team can remain indoors throughout the playoffs, which is possible. I mean, they won't if Philadelphia wins every, their playoff games. But, hey, crazy shit happens. Philly can lose, and Minnie can get home field advantage all the way through. If Minnesota can remain inside, there's no reason they can't go to the Super Bowl. When their offense is clicking, it is one of the best offenses in all of football.
I don't think they have a Super Bowl caliber defense.
I agree with you. I agree. But I'm saying...
So I don't think Minnesota's going to get there.
The NFC...
Even if they play at home. And ask any Vikings fan, they'll tell you that home field advantage in the playoffs has been a heartbreak, not a harbinger of success. Short and long term.
Yeah. No, look, I'm not saying that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I actually think the best team in the NFC is San Francisco, and then Philadelphia right behind them with Dallas, and then Minnesota. But I'm pointing out that when their offense is clicking and they are indoors, there's no reason they can't put up over 30 against anybody. Anyway, let's go to the daily presidential address because I'm bloody hungry, my brother. All right, everybody. Real quick, guys. I've got 3 NHL bets for you guys in this video. Before we get into that, I want to remind you all I got a really great promo up for everybody. It's Save 500. Save 500. It is my NBA and college basketball season combined. $999. You get $500 off. Guys, I won again last night in hoops. I am now on a 45-20 basketball run. I am on a 10-3 NBA run. I'm on a 32-14 college hoops run. I'm up 58 units in both combined. I am the #1 most profitable handicapper in the month of December. I am the #1 most profitable handicapper in the entire football season across all sports, September, October, November, December. Get that package. Save 500. Okay, 3 bets for tonight in hockey. Here you go. Detroit and Buffalo over the total of 6.5. We're going to see a shootout tonight. Very little defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to 9. Ottawa and Washington under the total of 6. This Washington team's absolutely rolling right now, but they are a stone cold under team. And I think we're going to see a 3-1 type of a game. And the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning under the total of 6 as well. That's it from me. Teddy covers one more show tomorrow, and then it's New Year's, baby. Take us home.
And then we get to do it again in 2023, Lawrence. So it's not like there's anything different. Yeah. We'll just be back on Monday. That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. My name here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and best of luck with all of your wagers.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.